Hey, okay. So this is going to be my sort of my diary from the past, for the past about year really, because there was a lot of stuff I wasn't talking about before, with my targeting and that, and things I was doing, and I'm going to talk about it now. So, um, basically, I left my job when I was in Santa Monica, right, and I started just really getting into um what was happening to me and finding out about it, becoming a sort of investigator, really, I suppose, my own private investigator. But just getting a lot of it off the internet and stuff, but just burying myself in it. But my flat in Santa Monica was expensive, so I had to move. And I moved to Watts in LA, which is just down the road from Compton. And had an house there, and I was just doing that. That's where I sort of like first started to gather some good evidence, using a Zoom H1 and a little like lav mic, back in the day. Um, but what happened while I was living there at Watts? I started to think a lot about Planet X, I sort of thought this thing's really going to happen, and I still don't discount it, I'm a bit I'm not totally sure, but there is something going on, It's in the Bible, and wormwood in the Bible, and it's but there's stories of it all over the world, So I don't know about. I don't think that's Nibiru, though, But anyway, I sort of thought, what's gonna happen? Do I need to sort of like live off the grid, live off the land, and stuff like that? And I started really liking the idea of going out and at least giving it a go and trying out my bug out sack, seeing what my skills are like, etc. Just having an adventure out of it. So I basically moved out of Watts in LA and I moved to Malibu in a tent. I lived in Malibu in a tent, which is like a real posh area of LA where all the like stars live and stuff. And I was just like living like in sort of like just off the road, sort of like finding little places to live, and then coming down into Malibu during the day, getting my stuff, my supplies, and that, and going back out. And it was a good time, It was my first sort of like, I just had my emergency bug out bag that I'd made, Um, but of course, I just got addicted to it, and I was sort of like convinced about this Planet X and wondered if I could like make it work, and I got a bit obsessed with it. And I thought I've got to get out of Malibu because actually, like, the Californian coast ain't a great place to be if this Planet X comes around and it causes a lot of havoc, you know, because you're right on the coast and there's going to be massive waves and stuff. Although there is a lot of altitude around Malibu, but I sort of read Colorado would be a better place to be. And I sort of knew that the CIA had loads of underground bases there and stuff like that. And it was a proper sort of safe Planet X safe haven. So I thought I'll go there, suss it out, see if I can do something. Um, so that's what I did, and I jumped on a coach and went to sort of all through Utah, through Salt Lake City and stuff, and through to Colorado. Actually got trapped in Salt Lake City bus depot. It's rough. Salt Lake City is. I was like practically like a homeless, but sort of like quite a well off one. I had good kit, I had good boots. I had a good bag and stuff like that. It's quite interesting that before I got to because I got the coach from like north of Malibu. Because the first thing I thought is I'm just going to start walking. I didn't know what I was going to do. So I was walking down roads and that, along the coast, and I ended up at a place where I got a coach from, and I was like camping on the beach in a tent. It was great. But anyway, yeah, I got followed around Salt Lake City. Bit dodgy, but anyway, ended up in Colorado, in Denver. I was on the internet. I was like, I noticed this place called Pueblo, and it's got a big lake flowing into the Arkansas River. I thought that's what I'll do. I'll get a boat, go down the Arkansas River, see if I can find somewhere that I might be able to live off the land. Give it a go. So that's what I did, I made my way on coach down through, Colorado Springs into Pueblo, this little, like, American town. It's a fantastic little town, really. I really loved it there, and the weather was mint as well. Another thing I liked about it, I checked out the climate, and they got one of the best climates there. Probably in Colorado, It's just perfect. Not too hot, not too cold. But anyway. Yeah, so I got there, and I thought, I was still getting targeted, by the way. Got targeted all the way across America. Yeah, especially in the coach. In fact, it was on the coach, like, towards Utah and Colorado that I made that film about Flat Earth, saying that I don't believe in Flat Earth. That's what I was doing at that time. But anyway, yeah, so I bought myself a kayak, took it down to the lake, and just thought, alright, let's do it. I just went out. I just went down the river, down the Arkansas River, and found. I sort of camped out on the Arkansas River the first night, and didn't know what I was looking for or anything, but I just got into it, and I realised sort of to make a temporary base sort of close to the river, but a more permanent base you can go a bit further away, But you got to get to the river because that's your water, and it's hot there. Your consumption of liquids is quite high, I don't know how you'd be able to do it without living near a river. I always thought if you had a river, you can live off the land, even if you're not that experienced. I believe. I think it's the lack of water that'd kill you if you're inexperienced. But I had a water filter and that, and I never did live off the land really. But I just ended up camping. But I started building a hide because I found this place in a ravine by the river, and it sort of there's a lot of bear stuff about bear shit, but I sort of felt safe, I wasn't really worried about the black bear because they're quite shy really, and he's not going to come looking for me. So I didn't worry about it anyway. And actually I didn't have any sort of like dangerous animal experiences, even though I was properly in it, I was in it with bears and deers and all sorts of stuff, There's a couple of osprey nests I sort of like boated past, in my kayak. It was a long way as well. Used to take me 2.5 to 3 hours to kayak from the lake to where my base was. Anyway, I found a sort of like these rocks which had sort of naturally made a bit of a cave, you know. And I got in there just to survive, really, to get out of the sun, because it was that bad. And I thought, well, this is where I need to base myself, you know. And I started actually digging down and breaking down rocks and everything, and I dig down quite a long way. But then I ended up realising how stupid it was, you know, because the stone was sandstone. And I thought, this ain't going to survive anything. As soon as anything happens, this is going to collapse on me. And so I realised it was a bad idea. I had another idea about going in the woods and digging down and making a sort of a dugout, you know, but doing it properly with lined walls and everything. And that could have actually worked, you know. But you know what the problem is? It's you by yourself, you know. Living in a hole in the ground is just not right. In the end, I thought, this ain't right, you know. But if you wanted to survive something like that, you'd have to do something like that. You would. I don't know how I can. I'd have to still live my life, you know. I did have ideas to do that, you know, because I used to run open mic nights and stuff, and I thought I could actually live in this thing, like go into Pueblo, do open mics, and just have a normal life, really. But I'd go home and be living like on catfish out at the Arkansas River and things like that, you know, eating deer and that. But you know, the other problem, I thought, I bet if I could get something going, and I was growing like stuff as well, I'd probably get caught. That's when you get caught. Someone will say, no, you can't do this. You can't do this at all. Someone's knocking on my door because I'm in the hotel. Hello, yeah, no thanks, I don't need anything. No. Thanks. That's unbelievable, that is. They only do it if you're recording or doing something. Don't they? Something always happens. If you do these kind of blogs and that, something's going to go down, you know, while you're doing it. It just shows you, like, because I'm recording this without a computer. This is recording on a hardware recorder, Zoom H5. It's a nice piece of kit, you know, but you can rely on it, because if I'd have been recording this now, like on a computer, they'd have easily harassed me, you know. Just like interfered, you know, with my recording, with my device through Wi-Fi. Anyway, yeah, that was my worry, you know, that I was probably like not totally illegal doing something like that as well. I think you'd have to go. You can get away with it, I think, but you'd have to go real deep into the wilderness, you know. Do you know what I mean? But but that's the thing about America. It's there. Just go deep into the wilderness, you know. They have a lot of disappearances apparently in America. Have hotspots of disappearances of hikers and that. I'm sometimes wondering if that's what they're doing. They're joining communities, secret communities, because people are sick of it, you know. People are sick of this type of modern life, you know. I'll tell you what, I mean, for me, like, I was really excited about doing it, but I wasn't surprised that I wasn't able to do it. But you've got to go out and make these mistakes to see how you can, you know. And I've still got my bug out bag, and actually, it's a brilliant bug out bag, because I've been out and I've used it in the field, you know. Might not have actually gone the whole way, but like it's a good thing to do, because some equipment let me down, and I ended up changing it. And if I had to use it for real, I wouldn't have been able to do that. Like my rucksack, for example, wasn't very good, you know. I was using it. I was using it for real, and it lasted me like about a month or something. I took it back to him. I said, "Look, I use this thing every day. Look what's happened to it in a month, and it's fallen apart." And they had to like give me my money back. And I said, give us one of these," And what have I got at the moment? It's really nice though. Is a it's an Aether 70 AG rucksack, and it's awesome, And it's full of really good kit as well, because I've used it. I know what's good and what works, what I need and what I don't need. So it was a wicked time, and I was like, I had quite a few goes at it, but I sort of like spend 2 or 3 days in the hide building it and stuff and working on it. But like want to go back to Pueblo, so I'd like go back to Pueblo. There's a good coffee shop there I used to like going into, and I'd have a smoke and everything, and they was happy days, and then I'd sort of like have idea go back to the hide and want to work on it a bit more, but it didn't feel right. It felt like it was my sort of like prototype, but I don't know. I mean, a guy like me, like I haven't got my own property, so I can't build anything, so it's a difficult situation, but anyway, so that's what's been happening. But the other thing that happened is I was sort of in it, like I say, I was in and out of Pueblo, but I was in the library a bit, going on the internet, and discovered the Emerald tablets, because I'd basically sort of had my eyes open, there's something going on here. I'd always been into the Anunnaki, I'd always been into ancient aliens, but I come to realise that I think that like there was probably something still there, working behind the scenes. I sort of had that idea that was happening, it sort of explains a lot of weird stuff, if you look at the Anunnaki, it's all written in the Sumerian text and that, this Enlil and Enki and An and Anu, I sort of I've got my own suspicions about them, that they're interdimensional beings, and Nibiru is a gateway. It's a gateway, a crossing point, and it goes into a different dimension, rather than them being on this planet Nibiru, which I sort of thought, maybe like orbits Planet X. I don't get that though. It doesn't make no sense, That Planet X sounds like a nightmare, son. Like it's all coming through here every 3,600 years, causing havoc. How's a planet that orbits Planet X gonna survive it? And what you see a lot, you don't see any spaceships or anything in their images, but you see a lot of gateways. You got to see a lot of doors, them with the key going through a doorway, or like gateways that are sort of radiating, radiating something like water or something like that. These are gateway, like stargates or something like that, surely. And that's what these Anunnaki are. They're interdimensional beings, Yeah, that's what I think. So I got to thinking, if there's some bad beings here working behind the scenes, and they're protecting these sort of Satanists or whatever, or the Satanists are worshipping some interdimensional being, there must be good beings here as well, So I found out about this Thoth character, and ancient Egypt and the Emerald Tablets, and I was a bit taken back by it all. And I thought this is like really interesting. And just on a whim, I booked a ticket to Egypt. I didn't know what it was going to be like or anything, but I just thought, oh come on, look, we're having an adventure. And I lost interest in the hide idea. I sort of thought it probably wouldn't work, you know. It might work. I mean, maybe in the hide in the forest, you know, the dugout, that could work possibly, but you'd still be by yourself, you know. But anyway, I thought let's go and have a you know, an adventure in Egypt, and I didn't buy a return ticket because I didn't know what I was going to do. I sort of imagined I might live rough there a bit, like, or something. But of course, when you get there, it's really rough, man. It's not safe. Wouldn't have been safe for me to sleep rough. And eventually, I got myself in a hotel looking over the Giza pyramids. Like, and it was pretty wicked, really. I sort of learnt how to ride an horse. I was riding an horse most nights up to this coffee shop, looking out over the pyramids, and I went into the Great Pyramid. Saw the Sphinx several times and that. It wasn't what I expected. I was sort of expecting like see loads of images, you know, of Thoth on the walls and stuff like that, and there was none of that. But it was a nice place. So I got rid of loads of stress when I was there. You know, I stayed there for about 2 weeks because the hotel was cheap because they had trouble with terrorism and stuff. I think around that time that I was there. Still didn't understand it, you know, but I started to understand it. The pyramids. I'm going to do some films about it. How like my theories and stuff, because I think my theories are pretty good. About the pyramids and about other stuff as well, about stargates and that, you know. Okay, yeah, so that was that, yeah. So what happened then? I was in Egypt having a great time, learning how to ride a horse, like saw the pyramids and that. Felt the energy, didn't do any meditation. But I'd also learned about, I was reading the Emerald Tablets, of course. I got to find out about astral projection. I thought this sounds good, and I thought I could use it in some way, you know, which I'm not going to go into right now, but use it for my life, you know, to help me live my life better, sort of thing. So I've been trying to do it, you know, and I sort of I've had a few little successes, but nothing major, and I've sort of stopped trying now because I just keep making myself fall asleep. It's a problem a lot of people have, which I've got now. I did it twice. I just found that magic spot, and I haven't been able to reproduce it. I didn't know enough to stay out for a long time, you know. But I was definitely outside of my body. I could feel it. I was floating above it, you know. Yeah, sort of Thoth talks about astral projection a lot in his Emerald Tablets, you know. But I think the idea is, it is hard, but I think the energy in the pyramid probably can help you astral project. I think that's what it is, you know. Well, that's part of it anyway. You know, that's why a lot of these sort of like demigods and that go in there to be initiated and things like that. You know, they were able to astral project. You know, Jesus was allegedly at the Giza pyramids. You know, but anyway, yeah, that's in hindsight. I didn't know that at the time. You know, but I've been thinking about it a lot. Yeah. So that was a really interesting time. But what I decided to do was go back to England. Maybe see my parents for a bit. You know, talk to them about my targeting and stuff, and see what their take on it was. And I was running out of money anyway, and I thought I need to sort of like, catch up with them and decide what I'm going to do, because I didn't know, I sort of like didn't know what I was going to do, because up till then I'd just been living off savings. I was like, can't do this forever. And then, because what I thought was going to happen was I thought I was going to just run out of money before I'd got self-sufficient, which of course didn't happen. I didn't manage to do it. Yeah. Anyway, I did that. Sort of, I was with them for a bit. I ended up getting sectioned into mental hospital. Got a section for a month. The doctor come to see me. Well, no, I went to see the doctor, and by request, And I sort of said, yeah, I feel fine. I don't know why I'm here really. I feel fine. And he said, so yeah, well, you seem fine. But they just kept coming around and saying, how do you feel? And I said, but I'd be like, yeah, I feel fine. Nothing wrong with me. Haven't got any weird thoughts or ideas or anything. And they go, but they just keep coming back. And the weird thing happened because I'm not sure if it's anything to do with this, right? But I was uploading a film at the time about the 33-degree parallel and underground civilizations, and the fact that all the wars we've been having is around the 33-degree parallel. It's weird, and there's something about it with this devil worshipping and their UFO hotspots. And I was doing a film about how I think there's something about the location. There could be underground civilizations living there, or it could be like they open a Stargate on this parallel, and they can like make contact with certain deities or something like that. And I couldn't upload it; it wouldn't upload. It's just giving me a nightmare headache. It was like going, 1 megabyte for 30 minutes, every 30 minutes or something stupid like that. Next thing I know, I'm trying to upload it. For 2 days I was trying to upload it. Next thing I know, I'm being sectioned. Okay, I don't know if it's anything to do with that film, but it's pretty weird, isn't it? And there is something pretty weird going on. I'm pretty sure there are civilizations. Think about the Satanist motto, as above, so below. What do you think that means? Does it mean that there's a secret underground civilization underneath like the major cities? In these major places like the Giza Plateau, like New York. As above, so below, that's what it means. Okay. So, yeah, got sectioned. I had a fit when I was in there, because I was being harassed, I got in there and people were coughing at me all day, They were doing it to me in the hospital. It was unbelievable. So, I got quite aggressive with them, very aggressive, And I said, you're not going to give me no tablets or anything, But while I was in there, I sort of thought, oh God, just go along with it, Maybe there is something wrong with me, maybe there isn't, But the fact is, I had been experimenting before that time as well, with telling my harassers to F off, and calling them Nazis and things like that, coming back to them like that. And I had my doubts about it. I thought, I don't know, you know, because the thing is, and this is just the truth, if you get harassed and every couple of months you go mental at one of them, it does keep them like a little bit standoffish. You know, it does sort of tend to control it a bit. You know, um, but I sort of thought all about like, you know, taking that to the extreme. You know, so I started doing that, but it didn't really work. You know, and I wonder if my bin section was part of that as well. You know, but while I was in there, I did think I'm going to stop doing that, telling people to f off. You know, because it's not working. It don't really work. The best one is like the original. You know that when your harassment like gets too much, lose your temper. You know, I mean, you know, as long as you're not having to do it every sort of week. You know, but they tend to build it up, and it gets built up and built up and built up, and then you have to explode. You know, because otherwise it just gets too much. You know. Yeah. So got a section. I just basically like you know, sort of thought, okay, well, I can always improve. You know, I suppose I am ill in a way. You know, but like it's caused by my harassment. If I am ill, you know, um, and you know, it's quite nice really in the end. You know, I was getting meals every day and that, and like they can keep you in for a month, but if you show improvement, you know, they let you go. So I just sort of like got involved with all the activities and that, and I was on a low dose of something, but it didn't seem to be affecting me in a negative way, so I went along with it. After a month, you know, they let me go, and that's how I ended up in Ipswich. So I sort of went into emergency housing there, you know. Yeah. So and before I got a section as well, I was getting right into reading. You know, I found some good bookshops in Felixstowe. Um, as because you can read a lot of stuff, you know, about relevant things, because we're all part of the conspiracy. You know, it's like a Nazi agenda to get rid of us. You know, that's what it's part of, and it's all part of this. You know, the Nazi New World Order. You know that these elite families and stuff like that. They don't, you know. It's all part of that. That's why we're harassed and watched. You know, we're a threat to them, basically. You know, because we're sort of part of their family, really. I suppose we're RH negatives, and so are they. But we're not part. We're not the evil ones. We're not part of their sort of evil agendas. You know, to enslave humanity and what have you. You know, and they're just profiteering off everything. You know. And I've already said I got nothing against these people, you know. Really, it's not a personal thing. I can see how these families, you know, you get born into these families. What are you going to do about it? I can understand that, you know. But change has got to come, you know, because you know they've dropped the ball really, and the internet has caused it, you know. Because the internet has given us communication, which we never would have had. We were isolated. We're not really now, you know. Most people who are listening to this podcast are RH negatives because they're getting harassed, and they're getting harassed because of their blood type. You know. You know, we're in the same bloodline as them, and I don't know why they feel threatened by us. Maybe there is something, you know. Maybe we're, you know, it's sort of written that we're gonna sort of like win this, you know. Because I think we will anyway. Really. Um, so you know, yeah, get stuck into some good books, you know, because there's a lot of clever people out there, you know. If you're interested in the fact, like, I believe that we're Atlanteans, you know, and you can read a lot about Atlantis, from like people like Graham Hancock, you know. Magicians of the Gods is about Atlantis, so is Fingerprints of the Gods. Loads of evidence for it, you know. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna leave it there now. All right. See ya.